I'm so sorry for calling the cops on you last night. I was like, the guilt.
And the bivouac sacks like this.
Just see a glimpse into the lives of humans that I flew all the way across the other side of the globe to sort of learn a little bit more about, because that's really what all these walks are about. Are you hungry? Morning, welcome to day 101. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about our plans for the day, but first we got to get out of here. There are just too many bugs to permit thinking. Snap, crackle, pop. Again, my pronunciation is not good, but it looks like we have about 9 miles to Vagard, and then another 7 miles to Skillingard. We'll see what happens after that. Both of those are pretty small towns, which can be cute. And I'm excited to just have like a straight road where I don't have to look at the map so often. I can just cruise, because that can be really nice sometimes. And then the next city with like bigger stuff probably is called, again, I don't know, Varnamo, and that'll probably be tomorrow or the day after. We'll see. I'm hoping to pick up some new dog food for Jack. I think the current bag he has will last until that long, but it's better to sort of be on the safe side and have a little bit of extra surplus. All right, day 101, here we go. Do you love this dog? You, the viewer? Isn't he cute? Abandoned little estate. So you got the barn, the house, a church, I don't know, a garage. The thing that makes this interesting is besides like nature reserves and barns on active properties, I rarely see like entirely abandoned properties. This one even has a few things inside of it. It's all boarded up, but you can tell it's been disused for a while.
Then I got the sleeping bag here and the easy mattress and the bivouac sacks like this, but it's gonna be
Snap, crackle, pop. That guy has ridden his bike all over Europe. He's one of the very few people I've met who have heard of both Nordkin and Tarifa, which are the true north and southern points of the continent, because he's been to both of them. No, that's not true. He's been to Tarifa, has never been to Nordkin. Which makes sense, because Nordkin is not accessible by bike. Barely accessible by foot. He was German, by the name of Klaus, because that's his name. And he's training for a race where they're going to go from Italy to North Cape. North Cape is the much more famous northern location in Norway, but I didn't go there because it's technically on an island. It's accessible via bicycle, though, because there's an underwater tunnel, I believe. New style of fence. Here's what I wanted to talk about. This is a school. It says so right there. It says Skola. Look at these little windows and right there. Those triangle ones at the bottom of the walls. Have you ever seen anything like that? But I don't think in my entire life I've ever seen windows placed there. Oh. Welcome to break time. We haven't been rained on all day, but it was getting like windy a little bit, so I haven't edited a YouTube video yet for today. So I saw this little tunnel we're walking through, and I was like, let's do that. That was a very good call. I've only been here 10 minutes, but all of a sudden it started coming down. So sometimes everything just works out in your favor. Sometimes it just all clicks very unintentionally and very easily. And then there's the rest of the time where it doesn't. But we don't talk about that or think about it. Those double deckers are fairly common in Europe, and they've been really common in this last stretch I've been walking. For a good portion of today, all I can think about is how much fun it would be to convert one of those into like an RV or a camper, or, little tiny home type situation. I know they have them in the US, just not nearly as widespread. And unfortunately, what that translates into is like The second-hand market is also extremely small. I've been checking today to see if I can find any that are for sale used, and there are none. I found listings of ones that were previously for sale a couple of years ago, etc., but I can't find any that are actively listed right now in the United States. Conversely, in Europe, I found hundreds. Some of them are really good deals, and I would have probably bought them if it weren't the fact that I think shipping them to the US would be quite difficult. That's a cool cemetery apparatus. It's okay. English is not their first language around here. Hard is actually not soft. It's actually the opposite. Snap. Crackle. Pop. Today has been fairly uneventful, but it's been pretty walking. We managed to sit out the only bit of rain. All in all, just a casual day of walking. I'm trying to figure out a way that I can, I don't know, sleep on more farmers' lawns or something. People who probably would be cool with it. And then I can meet them. Every day I find a good spot to sleep. Like, that works. But I feel like it's almost like a wasted opportunity to meet someone, hear their story. That was my favorite part of the American walk by a country mile. The adventure part is cool, but anyway, so I'm trying to figure out how to make that happen more naturally, since Swedes seem to be a little bit introverted. I think this is on the grounds of a museum. I'd want to check it out more, but I don't know if you can tell. It's about 10 p.m. here, so we're tired. We're actively looking for somewhere to sleep. Hi, I have something I want to explain. Before I left on my American walk, I was telling a friend about what I wanted to do, walk across the country, and he recommended a book to me called A Million Miles in 1,000 Years. And he said it kind of sounded similar. And I was like, cool, so I read it. The first line of the prologue of that book really grabbed me pretty effectively, and that's kind of hard to do, I think. It said, nobody wants to read a book or watch a movie about a man who really wants a Lexus. So he saves up, he buys a Lexus, and then as the closing credits are rolling on the screen, he drives off the lot, happily testing the windshield wipers, having successfully bought a Lexus. And he said, because it's not an interesting story, even though unintentionally most of us end up living that exact same story. I try pretty hard not to insinuate that anybody else is living a boring life, but it resonated with me. I felt like a lot of my time, a lot of my effort, a lot of my energy was spent in pursuit of these goals that I didn't really think were going to matter to my happiness. In the rest of the book, he talks about how he had an experience that made him want to live his life and have it be a better story. Now, this ties into what I was just talking about earlier. I want to not only just do this successfully, like I want to not just only find a place to live or sleep every night, find a place to eat, but while living and taking care of the things I need to do to sustain my life, live a better story. Talk to people, hear about what they're doing, find out what it is about connecting with other humans that makes us feel so alive. And if not find out, at least do it. So, I usually, for the sake of not wanting to be a punk and not wanting to be a pest and not wanting to be a nuisance, I usually like to camp like out in the woods, making sure I'm not bothering anyone. Today, I'm still in view of buildings, but I'm sort of on the outskirts of town. And I'm pretty sure this all area is like a museum to the past military exploits of this area. And I'm gonna sleep right here in these woods. The worst thing that happens is I get woken up by some police, and then I explain to them what I'm doing, and in all reality, I really don't think the risks of them like deporting me are very high. I really don't think the downside is very high, but the upside could be interesting, in that I get to talk to them. I get to just have a conversation with other humans, and I get to connect with more people, and I get to learn about humanity and what it means to be a Swede, and just see a glimpse into the lives of humans that I flew all the way across the other side of the globe to sort of learn a little bit more about, because that's really what all these walks are about, is about like learning and constant education and stuff. I know that was long-winded, but that explains why I'm going to sleep here. Also, it's been raining here recently, and there's patches where the grass is not as tall, so maybe I won't get soaking. I just met a Finnish man. He's lived in Sweden since he was 3, and he's now 60, so he's quite familiar with the culture. He was a security guard, and I saw him locking up this little museum. I just asked him, I was like, do you think anybody would mind if I'd sleep here? And immediately he went, no, nobody would care. I just can't wrap my head around that concept, that people just aren't perturbed by you sleeping in places where they can see you, because in America, people were extremely perturbed. I had the cops called on me a lot of times, and that was with me trying my best to hide. I remember one time in Georgia it happened. It was the middle of the night. I got woken up because I could tell the blue flashing lights. In the South, they don't have blue and red. They only have blue. I knew what was happening. I opened up my tent, tried to sound as chipper as possible. And the guy, usually they would be like, oh, okay, well, we don't really care that much. You don't seem like you're trying to do anybody harm. You don't seem like a vagrant or a druggie. If you're only going to be here one night and it's already halfway over, continue on your way. Just be happy and keep sleeping. I never got asked to move. But the next day, I was walking through the next adjacent town, and a lady pulled over, and she was kind of like driving with me as I walked. I don't know why I didn't stop, but she's like, hey, do you need anything? And I still struggle to accept help that much. So my default answer was like, no, I'm okay, thanks. She's like, you sure I can go get you some groceries? And I think I must have had recently filled up, because usually I would be like, I mean, if you want to, sure, that would be helpful, thanks. But I think I said no, and I just kept saying no, I'm good, I promise. And it kind of got annoying, where she was so insistent. She's like, I can go grab you a cup of coffee. I was like, no, I'm really okay. But her insistence got annoying. I remember feeling irritated. But I was continually being polite, and she just wouldn't accept it. And eventually she spilled the beans. She was like, I'm so sorry for calling the cops on you last night. I was like, the guilt. There was guilt. That was driving your charitable actions this morning. I see. And I remember being kind of annoyed at her. It's like, you judgmental. No, I get it. I totally get it. I understand. People are just trying to look out for themselves and their family, and they get nervous and they want to feel safe. So having seen that universal way of looking at the world, it's just so weird to live in a country, or to be in a country for a while, where that's just not the sensation. It's not the norm. It's not the mindset that's just pervaded the populace. Those are deep-seated things. It's very, very interesting psychologically to talk about. I've been yammering for the last 6 minutes, so I will do you a favor and shut up.